Hey everybody, it's me, the Einstein on Wall Street, here on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange for Trade Like Einstein Money News Network. I'm here with my man Dan Ives. You know him, the #1 tech analyst in the friggin' world. Forget about it. We are so blessed to have this amazing partnership. So welcome, my brother. It's always a pleasure. And once again, the best dressed man on Wall Street. Not only the New York Post. I mean, anybody who has eyes can tell. This is groundbreaking. So anyway, and I aspire. I got some things going on, but I aspire to be as well dressed as he. So let's get down to business. Look, we've talked about everything around tech. Dan and I talk about tech, talk about volatility, talk about markets. We try and make this really accessible to you. But obviously, this past week, we are now, amazingly enough, 1 month into this year of 2025. We're only about 9 days post inauguration. So within the new world of Trump, already we're seeing a lot of things happen, right? Obviously, yesterday the market was rallying beautifully. We've had a bit of a roller coaster within the first few weeks. But yesterday, in the middle of the afternoon, 3 o'clock, Mr. Trump out of nowhere said, I'm engaging a 25% tariff on Mexico and Canada, and the market fell off a cliff. I want to focus on one thing and one thing only today. This Monday, when we came into work, DeepSeek, which is a small Chinese app, which has skyrocketed to the top of the App Store, came out with a announcement, I would guess, at most, that they can do what NVIDIA and US tech companies are doing within the AI space for basically 10 cents on the dollar. The number that got thrown out was like $6 million. They can do. You know what? It's so over my head. I got to bring Dan in, and I want Dan to really break this down for you and make it accessible and understandable. Yeah. Talk to me. Talk DeepSeek. Talk the story.
So first off, when we think about AI, the models. When we say models, ChatGPT,
right?
Meta in terms of Llama.
Okay.
That's essentially what DeepSeek is. Think about that like it's the tip of the sphere. It's a model consumers could all download. And they play around with like we
so
saw
DeepSeek itself is an app. You download it and you can then ask it questions. You can build things. It's AI.
It's a model.
Okay.
Now I think what the street got wrong here is 6 million. It is exponentially more than it costs in terms of, I believe, ultimately potentially even NVIDIA hardware that they use and others. So the fact that they did it so cheap,
right?
I also think.
What did they do? Did they build the app for 6 million? They can offer all this software for 6 million.
Supposedly they built the app, but again, realistically,
right?
Okay, if you're actually doing it on next-gen NVIDIA hardware, it is exponentially much more than 6 million.
Right. So the capex spent by NVIDIA doing the same thing is in the tens of millions, hundreds of millions.
I mean, if you look, 6 million would be the equivalent of 150 million that
in
it actually
NVIDIA world
that it really costs them to build.
Right.
And that's why, look, this is a Chinese app.
Right.
So you always have to take all the details, I think, with a grain or a pound of salt.
100%. Yes.
So I think the reason the market got it wrong is the market right away said, oh, hold on a second. If DeepSeek, if Peter, if Dan, if Jane could do this so cheap, what does that mean for CapEx?
Correct.
What does it mean for hardware? My whole point is that models like DeepSeek, they're going to get cheaper and cheaper.
Right.
That's innovation.
As everyone chases to zero.
Exactly. But the point is, that's not where the spending is ultimately on enterprise infrastructure.
Right.
As they build this out, the ultimate, the $2 trillion of AI capex next 3 years, that's not changing because of DeepSeek. To some extent, I could argue that DeepSeek actually maybe even accelerates that in terms of where it goes.
Okay, so they're claiming that they can do, so people need to look at it in perspective. It's like if I came in and I had been buying a product from somebody for the longest time for $10, and somebody came in and without giving a lot of detail of the story, claimed they could do it for $2. Right, and so the world didn't really look at the nooks and crannies of the story and the nuance of it. They just saw that and they go, "Oh my God, you've been overspending." Then so either we've been being sold a bill of goods, you're overpaying, or there's something wrong with this story. But in fact, you're saying that what NVIDIA does is not comparable to what DeepSeek does. DeepSeek is a very streamlined version of, I mean, how do they relate to each other?
DeepSeek is an app.
It's an app.
In other words, the whole infrastructure is going to be NVIDIA. That's ultimately what they're actually building out. So in other words, DeepSeek is just one piece of a much broader ecosystem. That's NVIDIA, that's the hyperscalers in terms of what's being out. And look, it just speaks to our point. The Palantirs, the broader AI
Right.
names, that's not dramatically changing because of DeepSeek. To some extent, it actually makes ultimately more bullish in terms of what this can mean for AI.
Okay, so let's think. So from a short-term perspective, this seems like it's a little bit negative for NVIDIA, at least perception-wise, that somebody is getting things done for a lot cheaper than they are, and that they're a huge company. These guys are an app. So, right, I mean, that's the difference.
That's the difference. And also, you have to think about AI as a broader theme. They're not dramatically changing.
Right, so what these guys can offer is a very simplistic version of what they do.
And I would sort of end with, my view is this just speaks to the innovation that's going to continue to happen.
Right.
It's more bullish than the AI theme. It's
Right.
not negative. That's why we're defending names. And I think it just speaks to more and more where this is going. It's still first inning of a much broader
Right.
spending environment.
Right. So the long term is that net, perhaps this will have a positive effect on the overall, because maybe they do have some innovative things.
That's the net, that it's more bullish for the long term in terms of where it could ultimately
Do
go.
you think there's anything within? Did they steal some of Nvidia's
And again,
thunder? Did they steal some Nvidia's IP? Is there anything of that going on? Are they not? Are their claims unfounded?
Look, and
is
again-
it any of those things?
And again, it could be some of that, but the reality is it's all more innovation for the AI revolution.
Right.
That's a key part of our thesis.
Okay, so we've got that. We've got, look, today Alibaba came out with something that they claim they have, something that's very innovative, also that's a lot cheaper. You realize it's like, look, if I open up a food truck, my expenses are, X, Y, and Z. They're, $100 to run my truck a day. If I open up a massive chain of restaurants, then my overall expenses and what I offer the public is a multi-million-dollar thing. That's how we kind of look at this.
and
NVIDIA is the giant chain of stores, and DeepSeek is a food truck. Right? Is that kind of give it to the layperson to try and understand it? So net though, if things can perhaps be done cheaper, right?
It's just more innovation and more use cases to where this is all going to go in terms of AI.
Right. So just think about it. So it is an endorsement of the AI revolution, right? More and more people. Look, what's one of the greatest things about innovation is that once things start to trickle out by the big guys, look, this is a competition, a monopoly type of a thing, because NVIDIA is best of breed. Jensen, we know that. There are other names that are the secondary and tertiary, what do you call it? What's the beneficiary of what they do offer. But the fact that smaller companies are going to start, look, we also know that everything coming out of China needs to be dealt with a grain of salt. But now you're going to see people try and chase innovation, try and chase a cheaper solution or a more inexpensive solution. And net, that's bullish for the space.
And that's our...
Okay, so you know what? So that's why we do what we do. It's important to put perspective. The reaction by the market was fast and furious. But let's clear, the market is has a mature sensibility, because immediately after the massive sell-off and the baby got thrown out with the bathwater and everything on Monday, the bounce back was beautiful, because yesterday NVIDIA was up 9%. So that kind of proved that, you know what, we're playing, we're bowling together, but we're in different lanes, right? And that needs to be understood, right? And so that doesn't demean anything NVIDIA is doing. It doesn't demean anything that these guys are doing, but we are in a similar sector, in a different revolution. We're fighting a fight, you're fighting a fight in mid-Wichita, Kansas, and we're fighting a fight in the middle of, downtown LA. And that's the bottom line.
That's it, man.
So people understand that. Look at it. Once again, we always talk about opportunity. At the end of the day, if you looked at the way the stocks trade, if nothing fundamentally has changed in a story, then perhaps there is an opportunity. When things go on sale, there is an opportunity. And net, if we look back to the week, Monday was a spectacular opportunity.
Hey, great to be here.
I love you, my friend.
Okay.
Always great to be here with Dan. Trade like Einstein. We're breaking down this story. AI is a $1 trillion business. This is an industrial revolution that we're in the second inning of a 9-inning game. We're at 10 p.m. in a 4 a.m. party. Check it out. I love you, kid. See you later.
See you, man.